Okay, we are joined by University of Oregon head coach Dana Altman. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach, and then we'll go to questions. A reminder to media, please use the raise hand function if you have a question for Coach. And when you're called upon, please give your name and affiliation. Coach cannot see you. He can only hear you. So give your name and affiliation before asking your question. Coach, if you could give us an opening statement, please.
Well, I'm very disappointed for the guys. USC played a very good ball game. They out-rebounded us. They out-fought us in that first half, and we dug a hole again that was too big to dig out of. Our ball movement against the zone that first half, was not good. I let the guys down. I didn't have them ready for that zone. I thought we were, but their length and athleticism really bothered us. And we didn't have good ball movement. We took some. The other night against Iowa, our ball movement was so good, and we made the extra pass. And our guys tried to take too many shots off the dribble against that length, and kind of dug ourselves a hole. And we lost some of our energy on the defensive end, which really hurt us. So I'm disappointed, but we're in this together. I've got to take my share of the responsibility. The players, we didn't compete. They had 10 second chance points the first half, which really put us down. We came back the second half, and I got to know my personnel. Frank did a heck of a job there late, and I didn't use him the first half because offensively we were having trouble getting going, and he hasn't worked much against the zone, but he gave us a big lift that second half, and he did a great job.
Okay, we'll go to questions now. Once again, use the raise hand function if you have a question for Coach. Our first question comes from James Crepia. James, go ahead.
Dana, I don't want to, James Crepia with the Oregonian. I don't want to oversimplify things, Dana, but defensively, was the plan basically to take away the Mobley brothers and let anybody else beat you, and their wings just took you up on that?
Well, we didn't anticipate White, shooting it as well as he did. They went 10 for 17 from three. And, that really changed our plan. They were shooting it well from the perimeter. The first half, they went 5 for 9. And, that was the difference in the game. They go 10 for 17. We go 5 for 20. And, I thought we had some good threes. We took some questionable ones. And, but, we didn't shoot the ball. But they went 10 for 17. And that was the difference in the game, those extra 5 threes. But we're a big difference.
Our next question comes from Matt Prem. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, Matt Prem, 24/7 Sports. Dana, offensively, Omarui and Duarte gave you some of their best stuff. It was tough to get anyone else going. What caused those problems for anyone else to kind of give you a scoring lift?
I don't know. I thought Eric took some tough shots that first half. LJ just never seemed to get comfortable. Will had been scoring well. So, again, the zone, didn't allow us to move the ball. Again, some of the shots early off the dribble, I thought took some guys out of their rhythm. But you're right, those two guys scored a bunch of points, and the rest of our guys, just 1 for 7, 2 for 8, 2 for 12. We didn't get the balanced scoring that we'd been having.
Our next question comes from Julian Minenson. Julian, go ahead.
Julian Minenson, KZI 9 News in Eugene. Dana, what do you say to the guys after a loss like this? What do you say in the locker room?
Well, I told them one game doesn't define us. We had a nice year. We did a lot of good things, and I love the guys' perseverance, fighting through 2 pauses. I mean, it's a tough year. It was, tough year on everybody. But I got to go home to my wife and my daughter and my grandchildren and, child. So my dog, those guys, they were stuck in their apartments all the time. They were stuck, couldn't go. There, no movies, no dinners out, no camaraderie with other students. it's been a tough year. So I'm very proud of them for sticking together, fighting through, winning 21 ball games, winning a conference championship, playing very well against Iowa. But they were all very disappointed in the way we played, and I wanted to remember some of the good things. We didn't play well. USC did. USC beat us. They've got a very talented team, and that zone gave Kansas problems, and it gave us fits.
Our next question comes from Ashley Conklin. Ashley, go ahead.
Ashley Conklin, Register Guard newspaper, Eugene. Dana, you mentioned that you guys took what you thought was too many shots off the dribble and stuff. Did you feel like you were just way too tentative trying to attack the zone tonight?
Well, I thought our ball movement wasn't very good, and and then when we did get in there, their length bothered us. There's no doubt about it. But I just didn't think the ball movement was crisp. I didn't think our guys attacked it, were aggressive. I thought we got a little more aggressive. Coach Miniga said, let's put Chris in the middle of that zone, and he did some really good things. I think he got a little tired at the end, faded on a couple shots that left him short. But, we had a couple transition baskets that would have got it under 10. We tried to throw the lob. We didn't get it. Chris or LJ got called on a travel. That we didn't get a bucket down there. And you got to take advantage of those opportunities when you're down and you're trying to come back. And we had a couple break opportunities, a couple open threes that we really needed just to put a little pressure on them.
Our next question comes from Jerry Thompson. Jerry, go ahead.
Tough loss, but, I think LJ, like you said, if he played his normal game, could have shot like he did, you might have been real closer. But I'm glad to hear what you said about Frank. That's been the question the announcers and everybody else has been asking. How come Frank doesn't get more playing time? So he should be a great presence inside in the future, right? Because you really don't have a big guy that was able to score against USC, and that was a big problem, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I made a mistake. I said that, the first half, because they were in the zone and Frank hasn't worked much against the zone, I thought we needed offense. We put him in there for a while, and it didn't help us defensively, and I didn't play him long enough. I didn't give him long enough opportunity that first half. And again, the offensive things that he did, he got us a couple rebounds. He kept the ball alive a couple times, and he just was a presence in there. And his energy defensively, gave us a big lift. So, again, I've got to take my share of the responsibility. And, it's March. Hell, I should know my personnel. And he joined us at Christmas. He's been a great addition. I love working with him. And, that was the first thing after the game I told the team. When you lose together. I made a mistake on personnel, and I didn't have you ready for the zone. And you want your guys to look in the mirror and say when they don't get something done. And as a coach, if you don't set that example, it's pretty hard for them to do it. And so those are the first two things I said when we got to the locker room. And I know Frank's a talented young man, and I love his energy. And, I think he's got a big future.
Our next question, we go back to James Crepia. James, go ahead.
Dana, LJ was not a player who was going to beat himself very much this season, but he has a season high in turnovers and a season low in shooting tonight. Was it simply that Evan Mobley matched up against him on the outside, just the length, forced ball deflections, and other things? Or, some of it was stepping out of bounds, some of it was uncharacteristic. So what was your just assessment of why LJ just had such an uncharacteristic night?
I don't know. Just he had a tough night, and we had a couple guys step out of bounds. Is one thing that drives me crazy, James. They're not going to move those lines. You got to know where you're at. So we just weren't sharp. And again, as coach, you got to take your share of the responsibility. Players got to take their share. But we didn't move the ball. We weren't sharp. And the turnovers, when we were trying to come back, we just, again, those two opportunities in transition where we didn't get a layup. We called LJ, I think, for traveling, and then we tried to throw the lob and then get it down. When you're trying to come back from the deficit that we had, you just can't have those mistakes.
Okay, our next question, we're going to go back to Matt Prame. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, Dana, this is a year in which seniors can come back to school. How do you handle that discussion with your guys? What's the time frame, I guess, for that for you, and knowing if you need to replace them or not?
Well, Gene is a graduate. He's older because he sat out last year and had the surgery. He'll move on. Chris is going to get drafted. I think he should go in the first round. So he'll move on. I'll talk to the rest of the guys. Right now, Matt, the portal's going nuts. And everybody's looking for something, and so I don't know. I'll have individual conversations with everybody. I'll tell them to take a week or two, and think about what direction everybody wants to go.
We will take one more question. We're going to go to Kate Rogerson. Kate, go ahead.
Dana, just curious, you've been the coach for a long time. You've been a lot of seasons of basketball. What did this year teach you compared to the rest? What do you take away from this season?
Well, it sure was different. I've had an opportunity to coach 40 years now, and either as an assistant or as a head coach, and at different levels, Division II, junior college, and at the Division I level. And this was a unique year. Again, I think it was the toughest on our players because it wasn't college. You go to play basketball at college, and hanging around with other students, meeting people, establishing relationships with your classmates and other students. Going out on a date. Going out to eat, going to a movie. I can't imagine, it wasn't any fun. The only fun they had was when they came to practice, and if we had a good practice and, they were running around, and, they would have fun doing that, and winning's fun. But, I think it was a really tough year on them. And, it was tough on a lot of people, but it was tough on our players, and getting tested every day, and it's kind of like, hoping that, the guys that we did have were all asymptomatic. We were fortunate, nobody really got sick, but we had those pauses, and, guys get frustrated with that. And so it was a long year for them. It was a long year, and they're definitely going to need some time away from the game and away from everything, and some time with their families. This was our spring break this week, but everything's online, so I want our guys to go spend some time with their families. And Christmas, some of them went home, some of them didn't. We did give them the option. We wanted them to spend time with their families there. But right now, our guys need to decompress, or whatever they want to say, but they need to spend some time with their families. And it's been a long season, and I wish it would have continued, but I do want them to spend some time with their families.
Coach, we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much. Congratulations on a successful season.
Thank you.
We will have senior forward Eugene Omoruyi in just a minute here. Once again, if you have a question for Eugene, please use the raise hand function. And when you're called upon, please give your name and your affiliation. A reminder that Eugene will not be able to see you. He will only hear you. So when called upon, give your name, affiliation before asking your question. We will have Eugene in just a second here. Okay, we have senior forward Eugene Omoruyi. Once again, if you have a question for him, use the raise hand function and give your name and affiliation when called upon. We're going to start with James Crepia. James, go ahead.
James Crepia for the Oregonian. Eugene, what was, again, their length clearly has bothered you guys. Maybe not you as much personally, but what was the challenge of just trying to get ball movement through the zone?
Their length really bothered us. It got us off track a bit, and we just didn't compete in the first half, which we should have come out more aggressive. But yeah, their length really affected us in our offense, our offensive starts.
Our next question comes from Julian Minensong. Julian, go ahead.
Eugene, obviously, or Julian Minnesota, KZI 9 News, Eugene. Eugene, obviously a disappointing end, but what will you take most from this season?
Playing with a great group of guys and just a great coaching staff. And just the University of Oregon always having my back, and just being able to come here and graduate and just knock out my goals one by one has been a big thing for me. And I'm going to miss this group. This is definitely my favorite group to play with, and we're just a family on and off the court, so it's a heartbreaking moment right now.
Our next question comes from Ashley Conklin. Ashley, go ahead.
Ashley Conklin, Register Guard newspaper in Eugene. Eugene, when you guys were down 20, you guys had that 11-0 run there to get within 9 on Frank's tip-in with about 3:50 to go. Did you feel like, unlike the game in Los Angeles, maybe we've got a push here to make it a good game here at the end and get back in it?
Yeah, for sure. We were gonna compete to the end no matter what. We were just fighting, and then I think they hit a 3, and it got us back rocky again. But we wanted to fight, and no matter what the score was, we wanted to fight to the final buzzer.
Our next question comes from Matt Prame. Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, Matt Prame, 24/7 Sports. Eugene, Dana said he came into the locker room and told the team that he took a lot of the blame for not getting you guys ready for the zone. I guess as a player, how does that make you feel, having a coach put the blame on himself and for a loss like this?
I know Coach wants to put the blame on himself, but it's all of us. We're all a family. We're all a unit. It hits all of us no matter what. So Coach did his part in talking to us, and we all didn't come ready today, so we all didn't come prepared, and the results showed.
Okay, our next question, we're going to go back to James Crepia. James, go ahead.
James Crepia at the Oregonian. Eugene, you talk about the camaraderie on and off the court. I know all you seniors live together. With that in mind, what do you say to LJ after this one? Because this was an uncharacteristic night for him and a very tough night for him. So as not just a teammate, but someone who you're around all the time this last year, what do you say to him after this?
Keep your head up. We got bigger things in the future just with this game of basketball. We all decided to come to Eugene, and we want to do something big. And although we didn't get all the way to our goals, we still knocked out a bit of our goals that we set before the season started. So I just told him to keep his head up and just, this is a learning standpoint for all of us. So yeah.
Okay, for our next question, we go back to Ashley Conklin. Ashley, go ahead.
Eugene, obviously the Mobley brothers get a lot of hype, and rightfully so, but in the 2 games you guys have played, it's really been the supporting cast that's really hurt you guys on their offensive end. So, I mean, what can you just say about, like, the performances of White and Edie tonight?
They competed. They have competitors just like we have competitors, and they outfought us, and it showed. But we needed to start the game off better, and we didn't start it off the way we wanted it to, and it kind of just put us in a hole early.
We have time for 1 or 2 more questions if there are any. Please use the raise hand function. I see James Crepia raising his hand. Let's go with James again. James, go ahead.
Eugene, Coach was saying that you and Chris especially, he expects to move on, and he'll talk with all you seniors, but it kind of goes with saying, I mean, you've graduated, you've accomplished a lot. Have you decided definitively you're moving on? And then in that case, just what's your plans for the next couple of weeks? Like how fast does life change for you here in the next couple of days?
The goal is to just go home. My family's here, go home with them and just take a week off and just get back in the lab and get ready for the next level. So, yeah.
Okay, well, it looks like we have no more questions. So, Eugene, we appreciate you taking the time, man.
Thank you.
So that's it for this press conference, for this news conference. A transcript of Coach Altman's interview will be provided by ASAP Sports at www.ncaa.com/transcripts. Once again, that's www.ncaa.com/transcripts. You can also find a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. www.ncaa.veritone.com. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.